just a couple bad weather fans representing New York, talking all things sports. Man, what could go wrong? We got Alex, who's a fan of the Knicks, and Mike of the Nets. The yin-yang of the tri-state, place your bets on the Yankees, Giants, Mets, or Jets. Yeah, you should listen if it's sparking your interest. If you made a vow to your team, don't break it. Bad weather fans is the relation.
That's right. This is Bad Weather Fans, episode number 123. Mike Biseglia, Alex Vanessowitz, and the Brooklyn Nets today. It's NBA free agency day. The Brooklyn Nets today. There was a tweet earlier that Kevin Durant has requested a trade out of Brooklyn, which will send ripple effects throughout the NBA. The New York Knicks made some signings, Brunson, which we all expected, and away we go. I don't really know what to expect from myself here. I was really disappointed today. And there's a lot to talk about, and I'm looking forward to vent it, even if it is with a fan of a team that I seriously dislike. And I know their fans seriously dislike the Nets. So Alex, what's up?
Not much, Mike. I legitimately feel bad for you personally. I mean, I texted you that today when Kevin Durant demanded the trade,
right?
And Kyrie wants out too. I legitimately felt bad for you. The first thing I texted you was like, I'm sorry. But for Net fans everywhere, this is for you guys. I just have one thing to say for you.
Is Brooklyn in here tonight?
Well, right now, I mean, it's, you know, I understand.
There anymore?
I understand how excited you are for it. I can understand that. As a team that is a fan of the Knicks, and I know how much it bothered you. It bothered Knicks fans when the Nets signed Kevin Durant. They signed Kyrie Irving. They signed DeAndre Jordan, and Nets fans gloated about it. I didn't know you then. I didn't personally know you then. So I don't know, you're back and forth with Net fans. I'm sure it was extensive. I'm sure if we digged it up at Knicks Central and you typed in Nets, you put the year 2019. I'm sure, my honest instincts are, I'm sure back and forth. I'm sure a lot of Net fans were assholes to you. I probably would go on the record and say you were probably a dick back to Net fans. I feel like it was probably a two-way street, but I understand. I mean, I get it. I get it and I respect it. And there's, what am I going to say? Like, I understand you're in a good mood. I mean, we'll get into deeper detail, but we'll get to the root of bad weather fans. Like, I think tonight is probably for the Knicks and their fans, probably the biggest night for them in years. I mean, truthfully, probably the biggest night since the Game 2 win versus the Hawks. I think this is the best night for the Knicks.
I thought you were going to skip over the Hawks and the playoffs.
No, I think Game 2 versus the Hawks, this is the best moment for Knicks fans. I would say that. Mm-hmm. I legitimately feel that way. I would say this is probably one, and then the win versus the Celtics is two. In the last season, that's how I would rank them. And I get it. Like that's there. You have every right to feel that way. I know Knicks fans are excited. As a Net fan, is just true disappointment. True just, you get excited about moments. You know how difficult it is to win a championship, and you know that those moments are rare. I mean, I'm a Nets fan. You're a Knicks fan. I don't think it's going on a limb and saying our teams don't usually win titles. Last time, I would say there's probably zero fans that listen to bad weather fans that have seen the Knicks win the championship live. And prove me wrong. If you are alive and you saw it, tweet me at Mike Delivers Pod here. You can email me at MikeDeliversPod@gmail.com. If you were alive when you saw a Knicks championship, feel free to
send us a regular mail, because you probably still use the regular mail.
That I'm not giving out. But I'm pissed.
Yeah. No, and I understand. And that's why I feel bad for you. I feel bad for Evan Roberts. I feel bad for our boy Corey Cantor. I feel bad for Net fans that I actually
feel bad. You don't feel bad.
No, I really do feel bad for you. I do. That's personally, I do, because I feel bad because you're hurt and you're like a friend now. And I feel bad. I really do.
No, I don't buy that.
But overall, I was laughing, man, because how I found out, I was in a work meeting and I actually put my phone away for maybe a half hour today that I had it away, and literally out of nowhere, my friend, whose name is Corey too, he Durant asked for a trade. I was like, get the fuck out of here. And, and I look at it, I was like, holy shit. I just started I just started hysterically laughing. Thank God I was on mute on my meeting, but it was hilarious for me and Knicks fans. And, I can't speak for all Knicks fans, but I can speak for me and a lot of Knicks fans that I know and that I interact with often and friends in real life, not just on Twitter. And not that Twitter people are fake, but you know what I'm saying? We're laughing not because we're happy because we won something, but it's because of all the shit that was talked by not just Nets fans, but the national media and then fans of other teams mocking the Knicks. It wasn't about the Nets signing these guys. It was about, the Knicks didn't get them. And it's the Nets got these guys and look what the Knicks got. The Knicks signed Julius Randle. The Knicks signed the power forwards and this and that. And it was just constant trash. The Knicks for clicks thing was born then. And it's just on and on and on and on to the point where I was like, I didn't even want Kevin Durant when he was signing. Yes, he came back. He played a lot better than I thought he would ever play. But guess what? 3 years later, I had a tweet to John Jastrzemski I found 3 years ago. And I said, in 3 years, you're going to regret it. And I was like literally to the day on the money with that. And I didn't want Kevin Durant. I didn't want to deal with the injury. I didn't want to deal with any of the nonsense after the injury. And I just didn't want it. That's it. And that's why I'm happy, because all of the shit that was talked to me by Nets fans. And I'm telling you, people went low. They went low talking about me, talking about my looks, talking about family, talking about just everything regarding me personally, just to try to get under my skin because I wasn't giving Nets fans their flowers. So you know what? I am going to talk shit. You know what? I am happy. I am smiling. I am laughing hysterically. I am going to play Let It Burn a million times on Twitter. So that's what it is, Mike. And it's not to you personally, because you weren't around then. And that's what I'm saying. And like, it was not at you. We do this and we don't like each other's teams. Sometimes we argue, et cetera, but it never goes below that line where it got there. It got there.
Yeah. And I would understand that. I mean, if someone's going to say shit like that, that's ridiculous and absurd. And I honestly think you doing this podcast has helped you interact with Nets fans. You probably have a lot of I wouldn't say Twitter interactions and friends that are Net fans
of the show
that you've connected with. And I think you now respect more. And I would say that I see you interacting with, I see a lot of good Net fans going back and forth with you, having conversations, maybe not always agreeing, but being there. So, yeah, I could get it from that perspective. I'm not in your shoes. I wasn't there. I didn't experience that. I didn't feel any of that. And I can't take a Knicks fan seriously enjoying this and not like at some point it'll wear off for you. At some point you'll move on. I mean, and to truth be told, there's a lot to get into and we'll talk X's and O's with it because where Kevin Durant's dealt, not necessarily, the Nets aren't going to win a championship anytime soon, but the deals they made today to bring back Patty Mills and to bring back Nick Claxton, what they get for Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving is going to signify where this team is and what happens with them. I'm not saying they're going to be great, but they could make some moves where they ideally, I know, are trying to get a star and add picks, and they're still a team that's in the playoff mix. So we'll see what happens with them. I mean, I wouldn't say, I don't know where the Nets are. They're just in such a state of flux. It's impossible for me to give you any sort of identity of what I think the Nets will look like next season. I have no idea. I mean, I could go in with a roster where I feel pretty good about at least having a team that I think is going to be fighting in the playoffs and can make the second, or I don't know if definitely not a title.
Competitive team is what you're looking for. Yeah,
a competitive team. But I just, again, going back to what you said before, I enjoy it. Enjoy it. Like if that's the experience you had, I wouldn't paint a broad brush with that's all Net fans are like that. I know there's certainly dickhead Knicks fans I see all the time that are looking to get at you. So I don't, I kind of signify it like this, like just because you're a religious person doesn't mean you're a good person. It means you're a religious person. Just because you're not religious doesn't mean you're a good person. It's just you're interacting, you're getting heated. And I'm sure there was shit talk both ways. I mean, I truly mean this when I say I hate Knicks fans and I hate seeing them happy. Yeah, right. I do. I hate seeing it, but I got to get over it. I mean, get over it fast, and I got to move on. I got to worry about the Nets. I can't spend too much time being derailed and debunked and seeing people tweet and gloat. But at some point it wears off, and it's there for you in the moment, and enjoy it and have fun with it. And that's the end of it. And I wouldn't trade any of this. I wouldn't trade any of the last 3 years for it. I think the Nets made some serious growth. I think they made some serious momentum. But they're certainly in a bad place. And I do want to talk about, because I mean, I could do this show with you for 8 hours, and I could go on about how much I dislike the Knicks, and I could talk about how annoying they are and how their fans think they're better than Net fans.
Let it out. Let it all out. Yeah.
I mean, I don't, let me say this. There'll be a time and place for that. I'm beyond worrying at this point now about what, like people are going to troll tweet. It doesn't change. And it doesn't change my life. It doesn't change where I am. It's just in the moment for people to feel better. Like there's nothing that can happen. The receipt will be saved and the day will come when it's due. Today is not the day. Today is the day. I have to eat it. I have to take it and I have to deal with it. Let me tell you where I heard the news.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I went to a coffee shop today. Shout out to the coffee shop. That was great.
It's called Coffee Shop. Is that what it's called?
Well,
The
I
coffee
forget
shop?
the name of
You
it.
don't want to give the name?
It's like the Joe Zone. It's actually a really good. It's a good spot because I like to. I go there and I get work done, and it's actually like a sports bar, but instead of alcohol, they have coffee.
It's like Wi-Fi and the whole thing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Oh, yeah. It's good.
Yeah,
it's a good spot. I was doing
Cool.
work, and I think cool. Yeah. It's condescending cool I've ever heard in my life.
It was not condescending.
Oh,
I'm just
yes,
like, it was a cool,
yeah,
like,
no,
okay,
like,
on to the next
Mike,
part.
get to
Of
the point. Let's hear about
Yeah,
how
exactly.
sad it was and how mad you were and how depressing it was. Oh, it's so sad for you, Mike. Oh, you're so sad. Oh, here, RJ Barrett's gonna be great.
So I was.
I'll play the song again, man.
You can play the song again if you want to. We can play that song for 2 hours. Maybe we'll get more downloads. I can go into those theories. Anyway, I was about to start a meeting I was about to have about something we were doing. And I went on Twitter for a second and I saw the news about Royce O'Neal. I go, okay, I like this move. This is a good move. A solid role player, better than what we've been doing. Okay, fine. Nothing crazy, but okay, cool. And then I see the subtweets and it's like, what does it matter? KD won't be there anyway. And I'm like, man, people really just like come up with anything with net news, whatever. So I then get a text because then I went away and I start the meeting and it's just a one-on-one meeting. And I get a text and a group text. It's a Celtics fan, my dad and myself. It's a friend of my dad's who like now I'm kind of friendly with through connected with, and he's a diehard Celtic fan. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. Why is he texting me the Royce O'Neal news? Like, why does he care? And I look at it and I was just in shock.
Froze.
And I froze. And then there was someone on this meeting and I said, I'm going to have to call you back. And I ended the meeting. And then I just stared at it. And it was like time froze.
I have a family emergency. Yeah.
It's not like, it's nothing super serious in the grand scheme of life.
No, but
time froze. I saw it and it just was like a wave of emotions of just knowing that you're never going to see your team win a championship. Like I'm never going to see my basketball team win.
Not with this core.
It's just
no,
it's never going to happen. It's like I'm never in my life.
This is your shot, right? You felt like this was your shot.
It's over. Like the Nets are never winning a title. I'm just going to be spinning my wheels forever with whatever they come up with. It's just reality. Like the Nets will never win a championship, and for my life, I will never see it. I will always root for them. I will love them more than ever. And a sick part of me is looking forward to not having the pressure of all of the eyeballs always making fun of you. I'm like personally looking forward to not having to be the center of attention. It sounds kind of nice for a second. I've been so ill about these Knicks games over the past fucking 2 years. Like whenever they would play the Knicks, thank God the Nets are 7-0 versus the Knicks in the last 2 years. But I'd always be like so anxious about these games and so anxious about the moments. Now I think all the pressure is off the Nets, which will be kind of nice in a weird way. But again, I'm like the Nets will never win a title in my lifetime. And I will love them. I will watch every game. I will not miss a single second, and I'll be there and I'll be cheering hard. But it's just a harsh reality of that was a spot and it didn't work. I mean, it didn't work.
Yeah. And I get that. I get that feeling right now. But you know what? I'm going to try to give you a little bit of a positive because, I like you. We'll see what you get for Durant. You're not going to get a lot for Kyrie. I mean, but you'll see what you can get for Durant because everybody says, he's the best trade option in the history of the NBA. I mean, he's not the first MVP to be traded, but, you've had Kevin Garnett that you didn't get much for him. You got Shaq. You didn't get much for him. You got some good, nice players, but what are you really getting for Kevin Durant? You're not going to get a Kevin Durant back, and that's the biggest problem. You're going to get a bunch of draft picks, and you're going to get some mid-level guys. You'll get like a Harrison Barnes type player who gets paid a lot of money, but isn't that great. And you're just to match up the contracts, just to take something. And And maybe there's something with that Lakers. Windhorst said today, and he's been on the money with this whole summer. So we got to listen to Windhorst. He said today on ESPN that the Lakers have a package together to offer the Nets, and it's got to be Anthony Davis. It has to be Anthony Davis. And if you end up with Anthony Davis, as much as he had an off year, you'll be like, all right, we got Anthony Davis. Let's go. Let's see what we got. Let's give this a shot. Let's piece together the team around him. We'll win 45, 50 games and we'll be there. And let's see what happens, So
I
try
appreciate
to
that. Yeah.
Tomorrow you'll think that way. Right now it is the grieving day. It's the day of mourning. You're sitting Shiva and you're having the funeral all in one day, and you're just tomorrow you just turn the page. Time to move on and let's go.
I think once you hear what the deal is, I think that'll be the significant.
But now you can get to the next step of thinking about the deal. Is what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Well, it'll be nice to see what it is and come up with in my brain, the spin that I'll create in Ben Simmons at the point, and then you have Anthony Davis. You have
Westbrook.
See, that's the big difference. Well, Westbrook would be just to get him off the books after a year,
right?
But
you could just keep him. I mean, you might as well. I mean.
No. This is you can't have a backcourt of Simmons and Westbrook. It wouldn't work.
Oh, that'd be hilarious. Yeah,
this is the difference between the Nets when they collapsed and they made the deal with the Celtics and they were fucked, as opposed to now. From a mental standpoint, this is way worse. The negativity, the attention. That team, I think we all knew once we saw them play, never really had a chance to win a title. I still fully in my heart believe that this team, if they ever were given a chance, would have the opportunity to go out and win a title. We never just got to see it. I mean, it was a fucking disaster.
And that's the worst part.
Irving. That's the worst part. It was just one big tease that we never got to see. I never got to experience what it was like to see this in motion, to see this work at its full impact, and then just have the nasty feeling of, oh my God, we lost to the Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals. Oh, the Suns in 6. I'll never get that out of my head. This was just derailed by everything else. And I never even got to experience I only got to experience one painful fucking loss in my whole time in this experience. So that's the part. It just drives you utterly crazy. So I think this is different than that team that had all of those assets gone. The big difference here is that team was depleted. They had nothing on the roster and they had no draft picks. A big difference here is you have Ben Simmons for locked up, and you're going to get pieces back for Durant and Irving. So whatever they reciprocate and get back, the Nets are just, they're going to be somewhere in the middle to a little better than the middle, knock on wood, where they could get Anthony Davis back and pair him with Ben Simmons and put a team together. Where in the East, okay, AD had an off year. Simmons didn't even play, so many question marks. But if you're starting a foundation of Simmons and Anthony Davis and other role players coming in and out, it's a better spot than where you were when you have, you're looking at the Nets and it's a G League squad.
And you have Isaiah Whitehead running the point. Yeah.
Hope. At least there's hope in that sense that they could turn it around. But that's a major difference. I do want to get to this one point, and we will talk Knicks. I know they made some signings today that I think
the Nets are the story right now. Yeah, we'll get to the Knicks. Yeah,
people are pointing attention like, is this Sean Marks' fault? Is this Kyrie's fault? And I think, and then I saw you tweeting at this with I forget the name, so I apologize.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, some Nets account. Yeah.
But I apologize. So, who's to blame here? And I think overarching the biggest blame of it all is that when superstars come to your franchise, things change, right? When the Nets were the culture Nets, they were run well. There was good hugs, kumbaya, hierarchy, which was fun.
Yeah.
Ultimately, he's not going to win a title. You got to make a deal with the devil. Unfortunately, the devil split early in the deal. But here you go. Okay, KD's in, Kyrie's in. The second they got in, everything changed. Okay, we know that. Kevin Durant wanted James Harden. He got James Harden. Sean Marks delivered on that. When Kyrie, like it or not, agree or disagree, when there's a negativity that was brought into the organization when it happened, okay? When Kyrie Irving did not get vaccinated, which was his choice, okay? It had a ripple effect on the Nets. From there, James Harden was fed up with it. He's like, I'm not dealing with this shit anymore. Kyrie's here. He's not here. I want out of here. I don't like it anymore. There was a negativity that brought. Fast forward, Celtics lose. Season was a joke. We get all that. This is where the crossroads came, where the Nets and Sean Marks and Joe Tsai, I don't know how, maybe it's more Tsai than Marks. I don't know exactly. But basically said, we're laying the gauntlet down. We're taking the organization back. we're not going to be pushed over. And I said this, and I was clear on this. And I said, if you fuck with Kyrie, it's not about Kyrie. You're fucking with Kevin Durant. And what happened was, and I said this specifically, I said, yeah, maybe the Nets finally offer the deal to Kyrie, but the damage that was done in those negotiations killed them. And
Right.
Sean Marks if the Nets, as much as it sucks and as embarrassing it is, and people saying you have no backbone and all of this, the second you take the power away from the players, they split. Like it or not, that's reality. I do think that Kevin Durant had been itching about it, and there were some rumblings about that. So I do think that he wasn't happy here. And then when the Kyrie thing happened, I think it was what finally snapped it and moved it along and used that as a pin to get out of here and split, because something has happened in the last couple of months where Durant went from, this is my team, this is my squad, I love it, to not being happy and not enjoying his time here with the Nets. Kyrie had those negotiations, and Kevin said, like you said, Alex, to your point, his friendship's deeper than the Nets, and he split. So where do I put the blame? I think when the Nets got these guys in, it changed the overall mood. And then when Sean Marks didn't give in, and I blame them because I think you have to, I don't think you really have a choice. That's when that happened. And boom, the rest is history.
Yeah. And the two things to that, you bring up a bunch of points that I agree with completely. You can't trust NBA players these days. Oh, he signs his extension. He's going to be with us now. It doesn't mean shit anymore, because in 2 years, you could see, or in a year in this situation with Durant, something could change. And he says, get me out of here. And these guys at this level of a Kevin Durant, of a Kyrie Irving, they have the power to say, I'm getting the fuck out of here. And you have no choice but to trade him, because he literally won't show up. He's been paid hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. If he misses half a season, he'll be all right. You know what I mean? So there, you have no power over him anymore. And that's it. And that's why it's a players league. And that's why we said the last episode, you made a deal with the devil. You can't quit the deal in the middle. You have to go through the whole deal. Right. You know what I mean? So there's that. And there's also, we brought up on the last episode too, the Gilbert, Dan Gilbert, right? Of the Cavs owner. Sure. And LeBron, when he brought LeBron back, he knew what to do. Now, he saw the first time he talked too much shit. He got LeBron left, and then he left. He wrote that stupid letter, and LeBron, you know what I mean? And it took a lot. Dan Gilbert had to swallow his pride to get and hand the keys over to LeBron, trade Wiggins for Love, do whatever he wanted. Please just get me a title. And he learned, and he got the title. You know what I mean? So it's just, the Nets did that, but Kyrie is so crazy now that he pushed too many buttons. It got everybody's ego involved. Sean Marks has an ego. Kyrie has an ego. Durant has an ego. He got upset because they said, oh, now we're preparing without him. He's like, oh, fucking really? All right, fine. Fuck this. You know what I mean? And, Joe Tsai has an ego. He's a billionaire. You know what I mean? He's not stupid. You know what I mean? So there's a lot there. All the egos got involved. And now there's a split. Kyrie at the end of the season, we talked about this too on previous episodes, at the press conference at the end of the Celtics series. He said, we're going to sit down. Me and Kevin are going to sit down, and we're going to decide what we're going to do with this team. And then he said, oh, and Sean Marks and other, you know what I mean? You can't put it on wax. You can't say it's our team. You're embarrassing them, especially after what you did this season with the vaccine and screwing over the entire season. Whether you believe he should get vaccinated or not, he didn't. Andrew Wiggins got vaccinated. He won a title. That makes Kyrie look even worse, and he didn't want to get vaccinated. And it's just, overall, if Kyrie was delivering a championship, or they got to these conference finals, like you said, and he played all the time and he was dealing with some shit, but he didn't play, even if he had the vaccine season, right? But he got you to the Eastern Conference Finals. He played amazing and was on it. And you just lost in 6 or 7. At the end of the press conference, he's like, all right, we're going to sit down with me and Kevin, and then maybe we'll talk to these other guys. You wouldn't give a shit. You're like, all right, you know what? Whatever. But if you get swept in the first round and then you're talking shit like you run the franchise, like, who the fuck are you? That's what Joe Tsai's saying. That's what Sean Marks is saying. What the fuck have you done for us? You know what I mean? And I get that. But also, you're already in this deal. You got to stick it out. Otherwise, you're fucked. And now where are you? You're fucked.
What's problematic about it too is that if they do come back and you're putting a roster together, and you got a healthy Ben Simmons, you got Kyrie Irving motivated, you got a Kevin Durant who's a top 3 player in the league. You have those 3 guys. That's a lot of talent at the top. That's a very top heavy team that has the potential to win an NBA championship. And we could have these conversations about the what if Nets. I mean, now that it's the gone Nets, it's a whole different conversation. It's a whole different world. It's a whole different scenario. I would be interested to see if the Nets said no. I mean, we're not trading you. Like, what would happen then? I know what happened with Kobe Bryant and the Nets. Excuse me, the Nets. The Lakers did not make the trade. They did not deal Kobe, and it worked out in their benefit because they kept him, and Kobe was Kobe, and he did all.
Well, they convinced him to stay. They didn't just say we're not trading you.
And it's different because he was a champion. He had winning history
there.
I know he wasn't drafted by the Lakers, but essentially had been drafted by them and been there his whole career.
The Lakers can get Magic Johnson or Jerry West to show up like, hey, Kobe, just stick it out. We got a plan,
But
like
what
the Nets don't have that.
But what if the Nets just said no? Like, what would be the alternative? They said, you're just going to sit here and rot for 4 years. I mean, I know it wouldn't be the best for the organization because at least they could move forward and get some pieces back. But would there be a point where if they just said, fuck it, we're not dealing you because there's nothing available that we warrant that we could get back in return that we feel is not that we're going to get equal value back. That's impossible to get a guy that's playing at the highest level in the sport and has 4 fucking years left on his contract, which is the part about it that's nuts. But maybe they wait it out and other teams get desperate. I don't think they would do that. I think they do make a deal, but I think it's interesting in the back of people's minds, like this thought of, well, what if we don't trade you, Kevin? And you can just sit here and, tweet about the Nets and not play. Has Durant even tweeted lately?
I don't know. I think he posted something this morning on Instagram. I don't know if it was real about the Rams, the Los Angeles Rams account, because he posted something about Aaron Donald and something. I don't know, something like that. But I don't know. I haven't looked at his Twitter. I'm sure we would have seen it if he did. But I forgot what I was going to say. But overall, it's insane because how we got here is just absolutely insane. I really lost my train of thought when you. I
got a signing for you. I got an NBA player, a former Net, getting signed.
Oh yeah, who's that?
Andre Drummond has finalizing a deal with the Chicago Bulls. Sources tell The Athletic. So Andre Drummond is now going to Chicago.
Getting some more weapons over there in Chicago.
He's a weird player.
He's a specialized weapon. I always say that. He's a specialized weapon. He's going to get you rebounds. He's going to get you blocks and some dunks. And that's it.
He was bad versus the Celtics. Like, so bad defensively. He couldn't be on the court. It was a tough day to be a Nets fan. I mean, it's a tough day. It's I'm glad today's over. I'm glad it's done. And the Nets can just move on and rebuild. I mean, the crazy thing is, and I know that we'll use this as a pivot point to the Knicks. There's a great chance the Nets are better than the Knicks anyway next year and have a lot. I mean,
I don't remember what I wanted to say, by the way.
Well,
I forgot already now again. Go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
Well, I mean, we'll see where the Nets go, but they got Ben Simmons and what the deal is with Irving and Durant. But, in a lot of ways, the Nets still probably have a great chance to be better than the Knicks anyway next season. They do.
And what I wanted to say was, if I'm the Nets, sure, I trade them. Then we'll get to the Knicks. I just wanted to say this. Sure, I would trade Kyrie. I would trade Durant. Even if they pick their team, it's got to be out west. It can't be in the East. Or if it's in the East, it can't be with a team that, that's really, well, I guess they'll be a threat if they get Durant. But, it's got to be the West. Both of them need to go to the West. But I would not listen to them if that demand out there, if it's real, I don't know if it was a fake account, they want to get traded together, I would say, go fuck yourself. I'm sending Durant, you're going to Portland. Kyrie, you're going to LA, or let's send them both to LA, but one to the Lakers, one to the Clippers. I don't give a shit, but I'm not helping you guys stay together. I'm going to win something in that battle of the fuck you battle.
You saw the Dame Instagram where he was sent out to Portland.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's nothing in return the Nets can get from the Blazers that would interest the Nets. There's nothing.
They just signed Simon to a big deal. They just signed Simon to a big deal.
There's nothing there that works.
Nurkic.
No, I mean,
Nurkic.
You're not going that direction. The Nets need to me, the best trade out there. And this is gonna sound sick, but it's like get him to the Celtics for Jalen Brown and picks.
I'll tell you the deals. The deals for me.
Phoenix. Yeah.
Not Phoenix, because you get 8 and what are you? I mean, what the fuck?
What else is there? There's
what I do
out there.
I can't take credit for this one. I think Tim Legler said it today on TV. I trade Durant or Kyrie to Durant to the Clippers for get Paul George back and some pick and some whatever they have left. I don't know what they have. And then I would trade Kyrie to the Lakers and get somebody there. And then you got something. And you got Simmons, you got Paul George, maybe of Anthony Davis. You know what I'm saying? Then okay, then you can like, okay, now we got a squad. Like, we got some stars here,
Which I think is why when you look at what you look at what the Sean Marks has done with bringing back Patty Mills, which I know pissed everybody off, with bringing in Royce O'Neal and re-signing Nick Claxton, they're operating as if they're going for it. Right. To
they
bring
traded
back
a first-round pick for Royce O'Neal.
So the fact that they're operating like they're trying to win leads me to believe that whatever they get back in these deals, they're going to get significant talent back as much as they can. But what like that be? I don't know. But to me, it's not like full blow it up rebuild mode where they're going to trade Durant and it's like 807 draft picks in no play and some bad bloated salary.
They didn't find out.
They're trying. They're going to still try to win. Not that it's not going to be a title, but they're going to try to be competitive and put a team out there on the court that's going to be good.
Yeah, and they didn't find out when Woj tweeted that Durant demanded a trade because it came out that Durant went right to Joe Tsai and told him face to face, which I respect that. At least he went to the top and said, "Listen, Joe, I'm out of here." You know what I mean? So at least he did that. You know what I mean? Kyrie didn't do that. You know what I mean? So they knew before today. So they probably made that Royce O'Neal trade knowing that they already demanded.
The timing was incredible.
Yeah, which was crazy. And it seemed like, I heard Evan on Evan Roberts today on Carton Roberts yelling about it, where he's like, how do you trade a first round pick for Royce O'Neal? And
it was strange. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. But, whoever McMonagle said, you're going to get picks back for Durant. So it's not like you're
but you want all the picks you can get because they're not going to win now. But again,
you never know what they get back. You get Paul George and Anthony Davis and you never know. Then you got a squad.
Which I think is smart to sit tight a little bit and try to assess the situation and not give in right away. Because, I mean, if you're the Nets, you got to listen to anybody that calls, minus, I think, like the Knicks.
Yeah,
basically,
no, the Knicks are not stop. Yeah, exactly. This is the good transition. The Knicks are not trading for Kevin Durant or Kyrie Irving, not because they're not interested, which they probably are not. It's because the Nets are not going to fucking trade Kevin Garnett or Kyrie Irving to the Knicks.
Durant, but yeah.
If you mention it, you don't know what you're talking about. If you mention it, you're trolling. If you say you have sources that they're interested in the deal, you're fucking lying. End of story.
Right?
It's not fucking happening.
They're in division. It's like the Yankees dealing A-Rod to the Red Sox.
Right.
It's just not how it works, especially when you're in the same city.
And all those players in the Yankees and Red Sox that changed teams, like Johnny Damon and those guys, it was free agents. Exactly. They didn't say
Mets, Yankees don't do deals.
No, minor league deals. They do like nothing deals. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's a good day for the Knicks. I mean, they signed Jalen Brunson. The deal was supposed to be 4 for $110. It ended up being 4 for $104. So they saved like $6 million there for whatever that's worth. I wasn't really okay with signing him. I mean, the Nets news kind of helped my mood today a lot regarding the Knicks, which is kind of crazy, but I wasn't happy with maneuvering your draft around getting a guy like Jalen Brunson, punting on a lottery pick for Jalen Brunson, spending all this money for Jalen Brunson, and then like all the lying, saying that they're in on DeJounte Murray. They called him, and then the Spurs come out like, "Yo, they didn't call me." Like, you know what I mean? The Knicks are just leaking things just to make it seem like they're doing other things, but just Jalen Brunson, which is all they were focused on was Jalen Brunson from the start. And then also they leaked out that, Jalen Brunson is meeting with the Mavericks and also the Miami Heat. So now everybody gets nervous. Right. Pat Riley and this, and oh shit, is it really going to happen? This is 2019 all over again, et cetera, obviously on a smaller scale. And then Riley leaks out to reporters the next day, like, "Yo, we're not meeting with Brunson. What the hell are you guys talking about?" So the Knicks are lying. That Leon Rose is lying, straight up lying, just to save face, to either save a tampering charge, or just to save face in the PR. Because I honestly don't think he gives a shit about a tampering charge. He's not this sloppy. He didn't get to where he is in his career and in his life being sloppy. He shows up at a Mavericks game. He has Allen Houston and Worldwide West show up at a Mavericks game. Julius Randle's there too, by the way. They didn't go together. They show up at a Mavericks game and Jalen Brunson's there, and everybody thinks they're there to see Donovan Mitchell, but it really was Jalen Brunson. And the Knicks are like, yeah, we're tampering, fucking deal with it. What are you going to do about it? And that's what the Knicks are doing. And it's kind of bold. And the Knicks are operating as a team with billions of dollars and one of the most valuable franchises. If there's a tampering charge, we'll pay it. Like, you know what I mean? That this is our guy and we're going to get him. And, we'll see. Hopefully there's a sign and trade and the Knicks can unload a guy like Fournier or somebody in the process, because a Fournier and Jalen Brunson backcourt is like a bullfighter or Olay. Like everybody's running right by you. There's no defense there. So let's see what happens. You got to get rid of Julius Randle next. That's it. Like, what did you think about the Jalen Brunson deal?
I like it. I like the deal. I mean, if they didn't get him after dealing away a first round pick, and I give kudos to Leon Rose for, righting the wrong. Last season, he had a terrible offseason. Everybody that he saw, I was, I'll say it like, oh, the Net fans saying good job by the Knicks. I'll say when I think he did a good job. I'll say when I think he did a bad job. I thought last year when they signed Kemba Walker, I was like, he's cooked. I watched that Nets Celtics series. He looked terrible. I didn't like the signing at all. I
thought it was a 1-year deal. That's when I liked it.
I respect Leon Rose where they're just like, the Alec Burks thing didn't work out. The Nerlens Noel re-signing didn't work out. Let me just deal Kemba, but they had to deliver, and they did, and they got their guy in Jalen Brunson. And now that the Knicks have a credible backcourt, we'll see if Brunson continues to improve. He looked great in the playoffs. He's a guy that averaged 21 or whatever and 5-5. And really perked up there. I like it for the Knicks. I think they're doing things really well, and they're continuing to build. And now they basically did a reset on last year, because I had been on the record with saying I think the Knicks should sign Fred VanVleet. I thought they should sign a guy like that could bring him stability in the point guard position and not spin their wheels with somebody like a Kemba Walker, who I thought was done, or Alfred Payton. I thought they should go get a Spencer Dinwiddie. I thought they should get a guy that could give them a credible point guard in the backcourt that could help this team out. I will say, I don't think the Dallas Mavericks screwed up by not giving Jalen Brunson what they wanted. Where the Dallas Mavericks fucked up is they had plenty of opportunities to sign Jalen Brunson earlier in the season and in last offseason, where it would have cost them $10 to $12 million ish per year. And they kept putting it off. And then they put themselves in a bad position where he then had a great season and forced his way, where he had leverage and could do other things that he wanted to do. And now he's at the Knicks. So I don't know if I slight the Celtic or the Mavericks as much for not re-signing him now, but they really handled it poorly over the last couple of years. And that's why smart teams, when they see that they have a younger player, get him under a contract early. They didn't do it. The Knicks took advantage. All the connections now with Brunson's dad and Leon Rose, the whole
Son
deal
and this and that.
Yeah. So here they are. What are the Knicks next year? I think it's I think this helps them out a lot. I think this gives them a lot more stability. I think this makes them a team that's a lot more competitive, and is a team that's going to be in the mix in those last playoff spots, if that's 8 through 10 through 6, somewhere in that range. The big question, though, is, how does this work with RJ Barrett? Do they have enough perimeter shooting with them out there? Everybody on the Knicks is lefties now, with Julius Randle, RJ Barrett, Jalen Brunson. Everybody's a lefty scorer, but the joking aside there, do they have perimeter shooting? Can they play defense on the perimeter? But I think overall the Knicks got themselves a lot better and, set the foundation where they're bringing in a nice piece. But ultimately, too, it's about what RJ Barrett does next. But they stepped it up. I kudos to the Knicks. I think they made a good signing.
Yeah, they got better today with Jalen Brunson, but how much better? I don't know. 5 games better? I don't know. The team isn't set yet, so we'll see. You know what I mean? But, they signed Isaiah Hartenstein as well, who's a backup center. To your point about Jalen Brunson, what the Mavs did playing with fire, that's what the Knicks are doing right now with RJ Barrett, man. Just extend him. Just extend him. You're over the cap anyway. Just fucking extend him. Pay him now. Just give him that max contract. Who gives a shit? You know what I mean? It's 4 years or whatever it is. It's not forever. He's 22 years old. Give him the money, man. Like, and it's not even just about him. It's about sending a message to the locker room. Like, if you play well here, we're going to take care of you. You know what I mean? Right. Pay Mitchell Robinson. Give him that contract already. All signs point to that. He's going to sign, and Mitchell Robinson's social media is hilarious. He's just I saw him in the back of a pickup truck blasting country music with his friends. Like, he just doesn't care. He's living life. He loves life. He looks like somebody who's happy with himself. So I think something's coming. And I just take care of your guys, take care of them, do it and just get it done. But the main thing that needs to be done right now, and I don't want to brush under the rug, I feel it happening, is Julius Randle. You need to trade Julius Randle. Get him out of here. Get him out of here. If you can trade Kemba Walker, if you can trade Alec Burks, you can trade Nerlens Noel by attaching seconds and taking nothing back, do it. Get rid of him. Get him off the court. He's a minus player. He gets mad when the Knicks win. He's happy when the Knicks lose. He's the coach's pet. He's never held accountable. He's thrown laptops in assistant coaches' faces. Get him out of here. Get that negative, toxic energy out of here. I don't care if it's for a bag of chips and a Diet Coke. Get him the fuck out of here right now, because if you don't, it's going to be the same shit again. Just instead of Kemba and Alec Burks, you got Jalen Brunson. And then how much better are you as a team? How much better?
Julius Randle's going to go out and have an MVP season. And he's going to really fucking piss me off. He's going to be great. He's going to fucking go out there. He's going to score 25 and 12. He's going to be motivated.
He's going to be back to 2 years ago.
There's just no options to get him out of here. No other team wants him. Like, you have to remember those things you just referenced. Those are all really good points when he's throwing laptops.
They know
he's saying fuck you to the fans, to the best fans in basketball. I mean, he's really, people will take notice of. No reaction to that. He's taking notice.
I heard it.
Okay. He's taking teams take notice to this. So I don't know why a team would want that back. I think it's just in a very difficult situation. I don't think there's options. I really don't. So I'm at the point now where I think you just, as an organization, need to figure out what's the best way to get the most out of Julius Randle. How can you get him where he becomes not about me, but about team, and how he can integrate Jalen Brunson and how he gets RJ Barrett there and integrate it. Because I honestly don't think there's any options to make the deal. I think, if you could, you would. I just think it's impossible, and you're just going to have to hope for the best on that front. And, from 2 years ago, I'll be optimistic here. He was good. So maybe he goes back to that, and maybe something about having these other here. Maybe there's something that clicks. And maybe he's not going to be as good as 2 years ago. I won't say that. But I mean, if you're going to be optimistic, you would just say it can't be as bad as he was last year. Maybe he gets his head on right and things click a little better. And I'm not saying he's going to be the guy that was all second team NBA. I think that was definitely an outlier. But maybe he's a guy that's just what he was with the Pelicans, where he was solid and he wasn't a nuisance. And he did a great job with the, as a teammate and something like that. And then you hope that it just, it kind of works, because I guess if I would, more of the scary part, I think, for Knicks fans is that he takes away from RJ Barrett being the centerpiece of the team, and he's holding the ball. And even if he's good, it's like you're not seeing the potential where your real future is.
Yeah, but it's not to me. I don't care about that. I feel like that's a childish argument, that not that you're making it, but I feel like a lot of Knicks fans are making it, where it has to be RJ Barrett's team and not Julius Randle's team. That's why he needs to be traded. No, I don't give a shit whose team it is.
Right.
He needs to go because he's toxic, because his energy is toxic, because of the body language I see on the court from RJ Barrett or other players when he's playing. It's kind of like the end of the Melo era with the Knicks, where you got other players throwing their hands up like, oh my God, come on, he's going to shoot again. Like, come on, man, move the ball. Like, you can see it in their face. You watch these guys enough, what they're thinking in a way sometimes. And it's just, he has to go. It can be RJ Barrett's team if Julius Randle is here, if he was a different kind of guy and player than what he showed last year, but he's not. He's not that guy, and he needs to go, and he needs to go now. And I don't understand. I don't understand how he's still here. If you can trade all of these guys, if you could trade so many players in the NBA have been traded that you don't understand how they've been traded. Russell Westbrook twice. We talk about this all the time. Has been traded twice. John Wall has been traded. These guys have been traded. There's going to be somebody to take him. It's just a matter of what you want to give up, if anything at all, is what you've shown with these Pistons deals, that you actually can make a trade in the NBA and get nothing back, which is insane to me. Give me a second in 2072. You know what I mean? Just give me something. You know what I mean? But it's
would you deal Kyrie for Randle?
No. No, you're trading a minor problem for a gigantic flat earth problem. Like, no chance in the world. And I'm mad about two things. I can't get excited about Jalen Brunson. I'm mad about
glad to bring you into
you're bringing out my Knicks anger. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to bring you back into a negativity spot.
Yeah, there you go.
It makes me feel better about myself.
I'm stuck with the 64-year-old stubborn coach that doesn't want to change. I'm stuck with Julius Randle. And because of those two characteristics, because of those two people on the team, characters, I should say, the Knicks aren't going to be better than a play-in team. They're not. unless RJ Barrett takes this step we don't see coming, that's like 3 steps ahead of where you would think he would go next year, they're not going to be better than that. And that's just the facts. Jalen Brunson isn't adding 15 wins to your team. He's not. And you have Obi Toppin sitting there who's bursting, ready to get out of there. You still have Derrick Rose on this roster with now Jalen Brunson and Emmanuel Quickly. Where is he playing? You know what I mean? What the fuck? There's no defense on this team. You got a defensive coach with no defense. It's just something else needs to happen besides Isaiah Hartenstein and Jalen Brunson. Hartenstein, if you're really mad about signing him and you wanted more, I mean, like, relax. He's a backup center. He could shoot. Okay, big fucking deal. You know what I mean? You signed him. Okay, great. That's a good piece to have. It doesn't mean anything one way or the other. Just get rid of Randle and give me something to be excited about, because your backcourt has no defense. You have a bunch of people who can't shoot, and you're just...
Well, that's the wild part where I said this earlier in the pod. I'm like, you reference this, like the Nets could end up with Anthony Davis on this squad. It's like, you know,
or
and
Paul
it's
George.
All that, and Paul George, and, you know, Knicks fans celebrating how bad of a day it is for the Nets, but there's still time for the Nets to maybe figure something out in some sort of wacky, weird deal.
They have the assets to figure it out.
They have the assets to figure. I'm sure it won't work out. I'm sure it'll fucking blow up in their face. I mean,
What
what a weird. I mean, when we fucking started this podcast, it was such a shit. I just, man,
whatever.
I'm not
I'm
like,
happy.
I'm not
happy.
like,
don't steal my happiness.
I'm not like, you know, I wasn't sure I would react to the podcast. Like, you know, sometimes you start calm and then you get like rage and angry. I am so defeated that I can't even have the anger. I think that'll come like down the line, but it's like legit just depression in like the sports realm, where it's just like you're getting kicked and you know it, and you know it's coming, and you can see. There's been so many times I wanted to like tweet something or text something, and I just had to delete it, and you just have to like suck it up, and you just have to move on, and just, you have to, after the Celtic loss, right after the Bucks lost, you could be like, remember this moment and enjoy and suffer in this moment, because you know when you win your championship, you can look back on it. Now you're like, it's not. It's never happening. I'm never seeing a championship in my lifetime with the Nets. It's just never going to happen.
Yeah, they played hardball with the wrong guys, is what happened.
They did,
and maybe they actually just hate Kyrie. Maybe they really just fucking hate him that much that they're willing to get rid of Kevin Durant because of it, and they really were that miserable that they said, enough. We can't deal with this anymore.
I think you're right.
We're not gonna win anything. We're just dealing with this shit. It's not fun. Nobody's happy. Let's get forget it, dude. No way we're giving you a 4-year supermax. Go fuck yourself. Go find that sign and trade. He had nobody. So
I think there's a sigh of relief for the Nets in their front office. I think they truly couldn't take it anymore.
They hate him.
I think behind the scenes, they would say, we do not like these guys on our team. They ruin the experience, but they're not doing the Dan Gilbert where you bite your lip, you suck it up because you know how good they are.
Yeah.
And as a fan, I'm very frustrated with ownership that they couldn't suck it up, because as much as it sucks, and as much as, you know, you'll say you don't sold it to the devil. If they're going to go out there and play, I mean, you have an opportunity to win a championship. And I'm just like, fuck, come on. Like,
at least give it 1 year
aside. Like, I never got to see this.
Yeah.
I never had the Nets with Harden, Durant, and Irving played 16 games together. Tom Brady plays more games in a season. Like, this is awful. I couldn't get to see just a glimpse of glory. It was just a joke. The last 3 years have been a joke. And I thought at least this season I'd have an opportunity for it. It's a fucking joke. The whole season, all of it was a joke. All the time watching, all the time wasted, all the time speculating, all the time being excited, all the time texting friends, all the times hugging. Like, all of it was just one massive joke. And today was a slap in the face for the Net fan. And it was just a dose back to reality that we're fucking losers. And it's just like, here you are. And I'm so depressed about it. Yeah, I'm so depressed, and I will never stop loving the Nets. And I don't, and the part, the part that makes it so weird is like I do the podcast with you, so I can't help myself. I'm gravitating and bringing Nick interest back into it. And I just like to see it there. You live it because they're in your backyard. It's really depressing, and it doubles down on it because you have to deal with the Knicks fans staring at your face and laughing. It sucks. It's annoying.
Yeah,
and annoying.
I can see how it is annoying. Trust me, I can see it. And the reason why I didn't want to bring Durant to the Knicks, if we turn it back to 2019, 3 years ago today, when we're recording this on June 30th, which is crazy, I didn't want to have the injury year. Once he got hurt in the NBA Finals, the tweets are out there at Knicks Central. You can find it. I said, if Durant tore his Achilles, the Knicks should not go after him.
But he was great on the court.
Sure, but you lose that honeymoon year. That first year when everybody shows up and is excited and we're here and let's go and Kyrie's on his best behavior. It's our first year. Let's fucking crush it together. They didn't have that. And then, the pandemic, and it was just a fucking mess. And it's just
pandemic hurt.
And it just became like a big, now because you lost 1 year, you're going into it, you had 1 year, then you lost the second year. And then you're just like, fuck, here's the third year. Let's do it. And then the vaccine, and it's, oh my God, so now you're 3 years in and you haven't done shit. And then
right. That's what my
if you're 3 years in and you had a couple deep playoff runs with Kyrie and you're dealing with this shit, you might deal with it a little more because you had something. Right. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I didn't want to have the injury year. That's why I didn't want any of that. I just didn't want it.
I get you.
I did want Kyrie at the time, so I'll take the L for that. I really did, because I thought, I was like, oh, this is all the Celtics. I've said this a million times. All the Celtics players, they're young players. What do they know? This is Kyrie. He's a champion, and boy, was I wrong about that. So I get half credit.
Well, I get you on the injury year, but he came back and he performed so well, and he's been.
But he wasn't healthy
great.
a lot, though, man. He wasn't.
No, but if you want, that's a different conversation.
Right.
That's a different conversation. If you want to
because of the Achilles, right?
Yeah, it's just he's getting older and things are adding up. But
that's part of it.
The court, right, sure, but I don't think.
Another year went by.
I don't know if missing that year implicates like all the chaos that happened. I think personalities, it changed. The sense around the Nets was, the Nets did have culture. Okay. They did have good vibes. It was gone. I mean, it's easier to say now, but there was like a dark cloud that's just been over this franchise, especially last year. I mean, things were just so depressing in that Nets locker room. People have reported it was toxic, and it does stem from how Kyrie Irving chose to do the season. And the Nets front office puts on a smiley face and they say, well, support and this, and then behind the scenes, I'm sure it was just hell on earth. But with all that said, I'm repeating myself now. I still think you had to have signed him. Andre Drummond, 2 years, $6.6 million.
Wow, he got same deal as Kevin Knox with the Pistons. So like the Pistons get another ex-Nick also, and I think he got 2 for $6. That's crazy. Andre Drummond's getting the same deals as Kevin Knox.
Oh, and just one final point on Durant. He got everything. The Nets did everything they could for him. Okay,
right. You can't say they went soft.
They fired Kenny Atkinson,
which is big.
That was big. Even start further. They signed DeAndre Jordan. The Nets didn't want to. They would never have wanted to. They had to, which I agree.
It's business.
They signed DeAndre Jordan so they could bring in their buddy. They fired Kenny Atkinson. Mm-hmm. They then made the trade for James Harden. They did that for him. They brought in Steve Nash. They did all of these things for him, and it just was never enough. So he got them this way. Like, if the Nets never make the deal for Harden, the Nets go into that playoff run with Karis LeVert, Jared Allen, Spencer. Dinwiddie was hurt, so that I'm wrong there. But he created this. Kyrie then comes in, and the two of them didn't get what they wanted, and I still believe I would have given them what they wanted, considering all this. Mm-hmm. So the Nets did everything they could. The Nets did everything they
did, and that's why you can blame Sean Marks for a lot of things, but I think this Kyrie stuff came from the top. It came from Joe Tsai. It didn't come from Sean Marks. I feel like Sean Marks would have kept it. I mean, maybe they were all in sync, but it's kind of like a starting quarterback in the NFL. it's not the head coach's decision to bench $100 million starting quarterback. Like, you know what I mean? You have to get permission for something like that. You can't just show up Sunday and be like, guess what? You're not playing today. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people involved. There's a lot of money involved in these kinds of guys, especially in the NBA, where one player makes so much of a difference on the level of Kevin Durant. Or Kyrie Irving. You don't just make that decision on your own. Sean Marks has a lot of power, but he doesn't have that much power. He's not Brian Cashman. You know what I mean? He's not that.
Can I do a? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you go. No, you go ahead.
I'm done.
I was just like, I give you a jersey number trivia.
Okay, sure.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
He was drafted in 2007. Oh, I do have to start with the number, I guess.
Yes, you gotta give me the number.
Number 7.
Number 7. Okay.
He was drafted by the Seattle Supersonics.
Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
You got it. And I texted you the story before. No one's gonna believe me. I swear to God, this happened at 4:00 or so. I was walking my dog in the city right here, and literally I walked by a guy in his early 20s with probably his little brother, and he was wearing Kevin Durant jersey. And I just looked at Double Take. I was like, bad day to wear that. And he stone-faced walked right by me. I didn't say a word.
Wasn't dealing with that shit.
No, I'm sure I wasn't the only one to say something. You know, it's New York City in the middle of Manhattan. I know there aren't, and not every single person is not. There's a million Broadway fans. There's a million people who don't know anything about sports. But there's enough Knicks fans out there that he probably got it a couple times. Like, whoa, bro, this is the worst day. He probably wore that this morning. All happy. Excited. I got my Kevin Durant jersey on. Let's go. We have a good day. I'm gonna go to the park with my brother. And then he's walking home. It's just like, God damn it. Yeah, I would have taken it off, man. If I had a t-shirt on there, I would have taken it off. You can't walk around with that throughout.
Yeah, it's just not like Harden, where it was like you were angry because he quit in like games. It's like different. We'll see how
he quit though. He quit just as much.
He did quit, but no, different. It's nuanced.
I said it, and I'll say it again. I said it last episode. I said it on Twitter at Knicks Central. You can find the tweets. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving care more about their friendship than they do the Brooklyn Nets and their fans. Bottom line. And it's true. 100% true. And that shows that today. And that goes for every superstar. It's not just the Nets. It's not a shot at the Nets. It just is what it is. They care about themselves more than the organization. That's it. Besides LeBron when he came back because he realized he fucked up and he had to get that title. And that was it. But other than that, there's no more Kobe's anymore. You know what I mean? And even he demanded a trade. So, which everybody's brought up today. But
so many Knicks fans today. We run this city. I saw that so many times today.
They sang it because the Nets said it 3 years ago, man. That's why it's coming up. There were so many reporters. There were so many fans.
Warranted.
We run the city.
Warranted.
Yes.
It was warranted.
Yes. It's a response. It's a return shot. It's not like we walked up and started making fun of the fucking Sacramento Kings. You know,
but I still believe that those shots were a good thing from Net fans to give to Knicks fans. I think
for sure.
I think it was the right thing to do. But as we're just gonna have to take it back because I think if you're going to, take a portion of the city, you have to be able to give it. So I understand Knicks fans being defensive about it, feeling insecure because they lost a lot of their territory, which they'll never get back because Nets fans are here forever. Well, which we'll see.
Well, we'll see what they get. If you get a bunch of nobodies back.
Also, this is my favorite one. And Dickface7 on Twitter said this, whatever the fuck his name is. Like, the Jalen Brunson signing is getting more interest than the Nets did. How the fuck
I hate
do you
that so
gauge
much.
that? First of all, how do you gauge that?
It's
like everything on Twitter is I wouldn't say
it's a 3-year-old joke, but it's not funny.
It wasn't
anymore.
funny 3 years old, but 3 years.
It was funny
ago.
to me 3 years ago.
It wasn't funny to me. How do you gauge it? Can someone show me the metrics on how that's
none.
true?
Especially since Kyrie and Kevin Durant are on TV 24/7.
I think Knicks fans forget they're everywhere. They were everywhere all the time, and it's gonna fizzle out now because it didn't have the impact I wanted it to.
Right.
But, Richard Jefferson said it on the podcast. If the Nets were to win 3 titles, that would have made a huge impression.
Right.
Didn't come anywhere fucking close to it. But the fact that how much the Nets were just in your face, I think Knicks fans forget that did do some damage a little bit to the younger fan. And believe it or not, of course it did.
You can listen to that. We interviewed Richard Jefferson. I think it's episode 3 or 5 or something in the beginning. And it's on the podcast app, not on YouTube yet. We weren't there yet, but it's on our podcast app, available everywhere. Download episodes. Thank you. But Richard Jefferson said, he's like, if we win 3 titles, like you said, the Nets will then take a piece because they'll get the next generation. We'll see the Nets being good and be like, why am I rooting for the Knicks? The Nets are this. But he also said, so then I kind of said it, but I don't know if he agreed. I don't remember exactly, but I felt like the Nets cared a little more about being relevant and getting into that space and earning those fans than they did about really winning championships. And I don't know if today kind of showed that a little bit because of how they acted to Kyrie, but I can't really put that together. But I mean, there might be a little something there, but like, because you made a deal with the devil and you didn't get it, and then you pulled the plug. But you know what? You became relevant for 3 years, and you were on the map. And now you're a legitimate team and a franchise in the NBA, and you have these assets. You can get another star back, like we said. So was it because you wanted to be relevant, or did you want to win a championship? You wanted to do both, of course. But what was more important? It doesn't matter, I guess. But it was just a thought that I had that,
The other one to play off that these are all the Nick things that annoy me. Is the one where people say, oh, all these front runners rooting for the Nets because they got the stars and they're front runners. And I'm like, okay, that's true. But like in 1994, when you lived in the area and you had the choice to root for the Knicks or you had the choice to root for the Nets, and you're like, I'm not rooting for the Nets. They suck. I'm rooting for the Knicks. Isn't that the same fucking decision you made 20 years ago? So don't shit on somebody for doing the same thing now. That's all my like I'm the outlier because I rooted for Kendall Gill. You're the dipshit because you didn't want to, and you wanted to root for Charles Oakley and the Knicks. Like,
it was different. It was New Jersey too. It was a little different. That's like,
but the idea of like, oh, I wouldn't root for the Nets. You're the front runner.
You can't be a front runner if you're rooting for a team in the city or the state that you live in.
So then
you're not a front runner.
So then
if you're rooting for the Chicago, if you're a Bulls fan,
sorry, you're not a front runner if you're rooting in the area for the Nets because you chose them because they're better at
right.
No, how are you a front runner? Like,
well, if you didn't have a team, if you were a Knicks fan and then you decided to root for the Nets, don't come back. You know what I'm saying? You're a Nets fan. Don't come back. You're not a fan. You're not a fan of either team. You're never a fan. Yeah. But if you're a kid and you're 10 years old and you decide to be a Nets fan because they were good, you're not a front runner. You're just a fan.
You're in it.
God bless that kid was 13. He got all the heartbreak that you did, when you were a kid now. It's just,
oh my God.
It is what it is. But you know what? Hopefully the Knicks trade Julius Randle by the time this episode posts. Bring it full circle. He has not been traded yet. I'm sure it's going to happen an hour after we end this episode and we're going to be fucked. But anyway,
if anything's dated,
yeah.
It's impossible to time this right.
But listen, we talked about the Nets. We talked about the Knicks signing Jalen Brunson. Hopefully another move or two is on the horizon, extending RJ Barrett, extending Mitchell Robinson. Those are 2 gimmies. And then you have to trade Julius Randle, and hopefully we get there. And hopefully and then I'll be excited about the season, no matter who they get, to be honest. It's just about that. Get this man off my team. Get number 30 off my team. And that's bad weather fans.
New York Post. Our front page. Congrats, Nets. It's you. Thin man has no heart. Durant begs out after a single playoff series win for $119.3 million.
Ouch.
Then born to Brun at the top. Knicks expected to land coveted point guard for 4 years, $110 million.
Good for the Nets. They got the full page, and the Knicks got the small headline.
Congrats.
But that just shows the Nets matter.
Yeah, we're so great. All right,
anyway,
Bad Weather fans, episode 123. Find us on YouTube. Other great interviews we had. This wasn't an interview. This was a sad time.
Tracy McGrady, Chris Childs, Kerry Kittles, Richard Jefferson, Evan Roberts, Greg Giannotti, a bunch of people. Mo Moten, Connor Hughes.
Yes,
Amy Dash,
a ton of people. Amy Dash, yes.
Alyssa Rose, everybody.
You missing anybody? Did we miss anybody?
Danny B. Yes.
Danny B. The crossover app.
We had State of New York Knicks podcast, everybody's favorite. A bunch of people. Chris LeBron.
They say we had LeBron on.
Chris LeBron.
Oh, it's like I missed that.
Off the Ball Network.
I would
our boy.
Promoted that. Yes. If you could interview one person right now, who would it be?
Right now, right now. Mm-hmm. Kyrie Irving.
I think I'd go Joe Tsai.
I would love to interview Kyrie Irving. Just talk to him.
I think I'd go Joe Tsai. I don't think you'd get anything out of Kyrie. It'd be boring. I don't think he'd give you much. I think you would just go in circles. Like, I don't think there'd be information.
He'd walk out 10 minutes into the interview with me because I would not hold back. I would not have any respect. I would not hold back like I did with our guest.
Alex.
What?
I didn't want to do it till the end of this episode.
He's here.
No, we don't have Kyrie here. We'll see what happens. Next episode we do 124. I think we'll probably have more clarity, or if this is something that's dragging into the summer and hopefully more signings. But again, we're recording this on a Thursday night. We started around 9:45 or ending around 10:50-ish. So just so you have an idea of where the time frame was when deals came in or not, based on when you're listening to this and anything that's changed since. So that's just a little warning.
The first wave of free agency we covered. The first wave. We'll put it that way. And the Nets.
Bad weather fans. F1, 2, 3. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3.
That's it.
All right, Alex. Goodbye.
Have a good one.